Depends. I mean, we've been busy at the moment. I've been setting up for a YouTube relaunch and I've got a lot of ideas that I've been putting down. So lately I've been really busy working on and getting all my song ideas out. But I go through stages. Sometimes I want to create music at 3 in the morning. I'll create music 3 in the morning. Sometimes I won't go to bed and I'll be working on ideas I need to get out of my head. And then other weeks I won't want to look at an email or touch my Instagram or think about a microphone, and I won't. I think balance is super important. So I'll have some really hectic weeks and I travel a lot as well, so I'm not really in any time zone specifically at the moment. I just sleep when I'm tired and wake up when I'm ready. But when it's work time, I work, and when I'm chilling, I don't know, I spend days gaming, and I spend a lot of time playing computer games. It makes me feel good. We also we travel as much as we can. Actually, why I got into music, because I wanted to see the world as much as I could. I figured doing music was a way to sort of see that. So yeah, I'm just a normal dude, really. I like computer games and snorkeling and hanging out with friends. But when I'm working on music, I become, I guess, a bit of a recluse. I sort of close off everything. I won't touch my phone. I forget to post on Instagram for a week at a time. It's just this phase. It's how I work. I produce as much as I can, and then I rest and relax as much as I can. I do collaborate with others. I think as a loop artist, I think it's pretty important to work with others, not that just loop, but musicians in general. It's a super fun process as well. And a collaboration doesn't really mean with just an artist or a loop station, or it can be with, I did one video with a Rousseau artist, which is the guy that spins in a big hoop. Or I think loop in a way is like an emotion and a feeling, and it doesn't have to be just seen as a collaboration between two musicians. So yeah, I love collaborating with people. It just depends on the person I'm working with. So if I was working on with a producer, I'd want to take what they're best at and I take what I'm best at, and we collide it. I think that's the nutshell of a collaboration. Here's me in a nutshell. So as I say, like, if you're working with a guitarist, you play to their strength. If you're working with a drummer, you play with their strength. I've collabed with drummers, with singers, with guitarists, with acrobats, and I think it's just sort of endless what you can do and what it looks like. At the same time, I think a lot of the time we never plan it. I'll meet up with a friend or meet up with someone and we'd sit down and have a beer and just start jamming. I think the best jams or the best collaborations are organic and they're not really thought out. I think if you have to write down everything and what person is doing what, it seems a bit forced. So I think, yeah, I never know what a collaboration looks like until it's finished, I think is a good answer. Favorite venues? I come from like dive bars, and I was in the music scene for so long, and one time I went around London with all my loop gear in my backpack, and we just pop up at open mic nights in between two acoustic acts and start beatboxing for people. I love the real connection of playing to, I was so used to playing to like 6 people in a room, and it was just such good times when there's no pressure. You were just there because you just wanted to show people what you could do and what you were proud of. Obviously now it's a lot bigger, and obviously I've played some really great stages. My last favourite performance was in New Zealand at a festival called Splore. My first ever time, the festival took a go at me. They billed me as one of the headliners on a Saturday night, which I was very concerned about, but the people welcomed me and had thousands of people jumping. So that was probably my favourite to memory. But I love the dive bars, the small, intimate, chill spaces. Yeah, I thought everyone would have forgotten about me by now. It's a strange thing to still be recognised around Australia a bit. It's weird. Obviously not why I did it, but the fans are amazing. On my Instagram and Facebook, it's still growing to this day, and it's, for me, I got into this to connect with people and show people what I loved about music and what you can do with your voice, and to connect with so many people now, like musicians and music lovers around the world, is just a mind-blowing feeling when I think about it. So I try to connect as much as I can. I always do sessions when I'm sitting on a plane. I'll go through all my personal messages from fans on Facebook or Instagram and try to reply as many as I can until I have to go into flight mode. But when the voice was actually on, it was ridiculous. Like, it was a bit overwhelming for me. I don't spend much time on social media, so seeing all of the messages come in, and I sort of just turned off a little bit. But now it's a lot easier to manage, and so yeah, I just try to interact online as much as I can. My biggest inspiration is actually from Melbourne, a guy called DubFX. I'm sure a lot of people watching this have probably heard of him. I literally stumbled across him on YouTube once, and I did the whole musician thing, trying to, all I ever wanted to do was be a musician. And I was in bands, and I slugged it out for years, and once I found a loop station and saw what Dub was doing with it, I was just hooked. And within 3 nights, I'd seen every video he'd ever done 5 times, and I jumped down this rabbit hole of vocal loop artists. And so he absolutely kicked it off for me. And the way he uses his equipment is just mind-blowing, and to see how far he's gone with it as well. So yeah, he was the one for me, and the rabbit hole just continues, and to see so many new loop artists coming through, following the footsteps of these giants is cool, and I'm proud to be ahead with it and in with it and part of the community. Anxiety, yes, I have. I used to tour in a sort of an urban circus. So I used to make the music to acrobats and BMX riders and breakdancers with my loop station. And I'd also loop my voice as well as drums and keyboards, and we'd put it all, and we'd make this soundtrack live. That was my first ever sort of tour, and realizing, playing to big audiences. And I think my first tour was 73 shows around Australia in 6 months. And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And as the tour started, I didn't realize we were playing to crowds of 2,000-3,000 people sometimes. And I just wasn't mentally prepared for that. And the first show started, I think we got out to Tasmania. And someone in my family passed away, and I couldn't get away to the funeral. I didn't get to say goodbye properly, and I thought it was fine, The advice is I just went, I'll just bury that, deal with it later, which isn't a good idea. And it comes back, and when I started to step out on stage, my throat would close and I'd vomit, I'd gag. And it was like my body stopping me from doing it. The only thing that would stop me from performing is if my throat doesn't, or my voice doesn't work. So that's what happened. Every time I stepped into a theatre, and it got worse by the stage of 5 months into the tour. I'd lost a lot of weight, and the show continues, right? The show goes on. So the way I deal with it would not eat as much, so it's not as embarrassing when you throw up on stage, and all these crazy things going on. But to the point where I took some time off, I had to, and I'd go see my girlfriend perform in theatre at the time. I'd walk into a tiny theatre of like 20 people at a university. I'd walk in as a crowd member, and I'd start feeling sick in the audience. So it's like this big mental thing, and it came from the anxiety of not dealing with your issues properly, I think. And but I've dealt with it now. But yeah, it was a tough 6 months of my life. I think, yeah, as a musician in general, it's such a hard line of work to want to get into. It's so much risk. There's no certainty that you'll cut it. It's a busy market, I guess you could look at it. Everybody wants to be in a band, everyone wants to do their thing. But if you want to take it further, it's always just a cool idea to jump into that lifestyle and tour and be a musician. But the hard work and dedication behind that is insane. Well, when I was first starting out and obviously working a few jobs and doing on the side, I'd very rarely have the energy to start, jumping on the loop pedals and start creating music after I've done 50 hours a week. But that's the grind you've got to go through. You've got to realize at one point in my life, I did go, I'm going to now become a musician full time. But that was 10 years after starting. So I must have spent 10,000 hours with those headphones on and homing my craft and sort of focusing on being the best I can be. And I think once you do that and you feel good about yourself as an artist, as a musician, you really can put yourself out there. You can commit to it. But saying that, I give up, I've officially given up 4 or 5 times on looping, and I give up daily. I gave up last week when I was, I was working on this song and I didn't like it. I think it's important to be comfortable with yourself and sort of realize I spent 6 hours working on a song. The first hour, I love what I've done. By the fourth or fifth hour in a session, I hate what I've done and I give up and I don't want to be a musician and I'm terrible. I think what I'm trying to say is it's the mental battle of being comfortable with it and understanding that every day is going to be different. Some days you'll be able to create positively, some days you won't. That's this industry, that is music, that is creating, and there's no certainties on how far you'll take it. All right, yes, so welcome to my office. This song in particular, I usually start with like a hi-hat pattern to find my timing. Obviously it sets the tune, it sets the loop, and timing is everything as a loop artist. So I'll start with, I think, just sort of a pan, sort of wrap around your head experience. I always go for the breaths and want to show people, suck them in immediately, show that it's your voice that they're actually hearing. And all of that, this is all on the loop station, but all of that's powered over here with this pedal. So this is the GT10B. It's actually a bass guitar effect pedal, which I get a lot of questions about what gear I'm using. I use this one, DubFX uses this one. There's a reason why. It's a monster. We plug a microphone into it, basically wipe the memory and rebuild effects and sounds to work with your voice. So Beatbox Live, but through the pedal. It's thousands of hours designing sounds for it, and then basically this is my sound. This is my instrument essentially. I take all of the sounds that I've created from this guy and dump them into this one. I'm known for like my operatics and the way I like to sing and build layers and harmonies. So for example, I'll show you my harmony patch there from the song I just did. This is the Weeknd song, Call Out My Name, and I can just lay harmonies like a... and it just loops and I can just keep on. So that's just one of the patches that I like to use. I just keep it rolling. And that's sort of like my synth sound, I guess. It's what layers everything for me. It's who I am as a musician. This is sort of how I feel coming straight out onto this loop station. And then I can surround it with cool stuff like these bass lines. All just generated from this guy. That's why this pedal's so important. For me, I make bass music. I love the way it feels, the way you can feel the bass through you at a festival. That's what we do, and this is what this pedal's for. And yeah, you can basically just capture all your layers. So I'll break the looper apart. It's got 5 phrases, which is super important and why I jumped straight onto this pedal. As a loop artist, the most important thing is to show, I kind of want the audience to forget they're listening to a loop. It's got to be organic enough to, we're chained to the rhythm. It has to come back around on itself. This is clever because I can hide things, so I separate them. Number 1 will be my beatbox. Number 2 will be my hi-hats and rhythms, which I'll lay on top of. Number 3 are the harmonies you just heard me lay. Number 4 will be that gritty bass line. And number 5 is the clean bass line. Having them all separate like that means I can chop and change. So when it comes to singing on top, I can actually be the band itself. So you put them all together. Sing it! So that allows me to go instantly into a verse by pulling out the thicker layers. And with the filters, So it allows you to be creative with your loops and separate them and actually change the volumes of them, which is all super important. All right guys, that's me signing out. I hope you learned a little bit about my equipment and how I use the loop station. Be sure to check out the session if you haven't already. And thanks to Roland and Loops Live for helping me put this video together. I'm gonna go buy some fried chicken. Peace.
It's all about the journey. Ain't nothing changed but the weather.